I'm curious to know, what other locations do you think Tesla will have gigafactories in? I mean,
Okay.
it looks like every other country is begging Elon to have a factory there of some sort, whether it's megapacks or just gigafactories. They're begging him. It's like, come on, man, please. So what do you
And all
think?
of them say the same thing. All of them say, I don't want just a battery factory. I don't want just I want everything. I want the whole package.
Yeah.
And not all of you are going to get it. So one benefit to Mexico, somebody said, oh, Mexico's not going to happen now. It's only going to be Texas. And I said, no, I've heard nothing that would indicate that. Mexico has free trade agreements with twice as many countries as the U.S. The U.S. has like 25. Mexico has, I think, 49, and they're about to expand to 65. They are part of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. They're part of the Latin American trade zone. So having cars in Mexico means they can export them to a whole lot of places duty free. So that's important. I have a spreadsheet that I made a couple of years ago now, analyzing every country by a variety of factors, including how many vehicle plants they already have, the competencies of the workers, the stability of the governments, the access to local minerals that are critical to building an EV, things like that. And the top of my list came in, I don't have it in front of me, but Canada and Japan came in very high on that list. We know there was talk
Wow.
of Canada, but it appears to have stalled. India
I'm not
was not
surprised.
super, yeah.
I'm
India
not
was not
surprised.
super high on the list. It was maybe number 8, but I still feel like that's going to happen because the market is so large, and at 25,000 it would make a whole lot of sense
Yeah.
to get there and have a custom form factor just for them. One person said, an Indian viewer said, if you just added 1 or 2 inches of ground clearance to deal with the inconsistencies in the roads once you get out of the city, it would be fine. It would be a good vehicle. And India's got a large workforce. Their middle class is exploding. They're trying to become what China was 20 years ago. And if they do, this is the time and the place. And the import taxes are so steep. They're 100%,
Oh, it's ridiculous.
100% on cheap cars and 180% or something like that on more expensive cars.
But why though? It's just so, like, I see these articles and I'm just looking at this and I'm just like, just say you're not allowed to come in.
Right. Well, no, if you want to pay me enough that I can go buy one myself, then you can bring one in. Yeah, it's a buy one get one free plan, right? Yeah. Well, we're not going to restrict your freedom, but boy, are we going to make it expensive.
That's ridiculous. I think there is some sort of a deal going on that, if you're gonna make an EV, or if Tesla wants to go to India and or sell their EVs, they want the whole package themselves as well. They want the mega pack, the gigapack, the everything. And
Everything, the batteries, the entire supply chain. And Tesla has said, look, we will localize as quickly as we can, but we need assurances that we can bring parts in until we can localize the chain. When Shanghai first built the Model 3, it was something like 90% imported parts. And within 6 months, it was 10% imported parts.
No,
Because while
crazy.
Tesla is famously the most American-made car, it is also the most Chinese-made car and likely the most German-made car. I haven't seen the numbers for Germany, but it is a made-in-China Model 3, uses just about everything made locally. I think the FSD chips come from Arizona or somewhere like that. And I don't know if the parts count goes by physical parts or by dollars or by pounds. I don't know. Yeah, they always localize. So I think writing that exception would be a smart move. It's not like they're going to be bringing in all the parts. They don't have the time to do that. They don't have the ships to do that. But if they need to early on just to get it ramped, then let them. But they're facing a lot of lobbying pressure from Tata Motors and the other domestic brands who really want to protect their business. And you can understand why.
Tatas, they don't. I mean, here in Kuwait, we have Tatas everywhere, and they're buses, and they're just bad buses. They're pollution machines, and they're just not nice. They're not built nicely. It looks like they designed it in the 80s, and they never changed it. They never changed the design. In India, they have a monopoly, and unfortunately, I think the government is in it as well. So
in not in my city, but in Wenatchee, which is a couple hours from here, they have BYD buses. They're made in Los Angeles, and they're very nice and modern and quiet and efficient. So
that's different. That's different.
I've been trying to get in to interview their PR director for months now, and they're just not responsive. Sounds like work.
Yeah, no, BYD is also here in Kuwait, which I was surprised. I'm just like, but they only sell their gas cars here. They don't have their EVs or anything, or even their do they have their hybrids here? I don't think they have their hybrids here either. It's just pure gas. They have all their gas cars. Well, gas is here is very cheap. Like if you want to go from empty to full, it's like $15. Like,
Wow.
I mean, that's hard to argue. That's,
Yeah, the value proposition is inverted, is what it sounds like.
yeah. So it's like, do I really need an EV when gas price is $15 and, there's no infrastructure here and everything? The guys that I've interviewed here that does have an EV, they just charge at home. And I mean, the cost it's nothing. They don't pay for it. That's what it is. Like at home, like back in Toronto, when I had to charge the rental Model Y, it would probably like charge me, like I rented out for a week. I think the bill came in afterwards, like less than $10 or something like that. Here, it's not even that. It's like pennies.
Wow.
It's nothing. They use the gas they have here to power the grid, so it's like clean energy you're putting it in your Tesla. But yeah, that's just it's very cheap here, the energy. So I don't know when Tesla will come to Kuwait. I hope they come soon because my next vehicle is gonna be a Tesla. Once you drive one, it's hard to go back to any other car.
If you look at Toyota, they're in something like 140 markets or something outrageous like that.
170.
Where are they Teslas or Toyotas in every market?
Almost every
Wow.
market, yeah.
I
It's
guess
crazy.
that is crazy. And Tesla's in what, 40 markets?
40, if you want to include Hong Kong, 44.
That's a
not
lot
many
of
countries.
opportunity to grow. And
Oh,
they
yeah.
just went into Chile, which I think
And Qatar.
and Qatar. I think
Yeah.
the reason for Chile is because that's where the lithium comes from, and maybe
Yes.
that's a reason. Maybe there's a tax advantage to putting them between, crossing the paths like that. I don't know, but there is reason for them to be in Chile. So it'd be yeah, there's a lot of countries left, a lot of lands left to conquer. And as the price comes down, they all start to make sense.
Yeah, absolutely true. I remember when I went to Dubai, and I really do think Dubai would be a place where Tesla would, even though, I mean, the resources aren't there, but it would be such a very smart place for Tesla to make a gigafactory there. You're in the center of like the whole Asian market, like in Middle East and Asian African market. But the problem is they don't have the resources there to do any of the vertical integrated stuff. Boo-hoo.
Right.
But it's a very business friendly place for anyone to do business. Like here in Kuwait, if you want to do business here, 51% of the business ownership has to be a local. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a big chain like Burger King, or if you're McDonald's, or if you're Carrefour, which is a massive company, supermarket, anyone or anything or anybody or anyone, you have to have local must have 51%, and then you get 49%. In Dubai, even in Qatar, you don't even have that anymore. The land is yours for 99 years. You own the business. You own everything. And there's none of this bribery things that we have here in Kuwait, where you gotta pay the guy under the table to get your stuff done. None of the stuff is in those countries.
So I'll tell you the problem with UAE is they don't have any history of building cars, and they don't have any domestic parts supply. Well, the history of building cars is important because you need local engineers who understand the job. And that's why, like looking at Brazil, they've got a lot of domestic auto manufacturing. India's got a ton of domestic auto manufacturing. And that's why somebody early on said they should have built the Giga Berlin, should have been Giga Poland. But Poland doesn't have the same experience building cars, and it was worth it to pay the extra wages when you consider all of the engineering experience that you're able to get on board in a country like Germany, where they've got a legacy. I mean, for Germany's not that big of a country, and they've got many world-class automotive brands, which is pretty unusual.